No birth certificate, no school records, no medical files. Ava Jensen didn't exist, at least not the way other 17-year-olds did. She lived in a cabin nestled in the Bitterroot Mountains of Montana, surrounded by thick pine, snow-slicked ravines and silence so heavy it could crush thoughts. She hunted with an old bolt-action rifle, passed down from a grandfather who died before she could walk. She butchered elk with precision. She trapped coyotes with rigged snares of her own design. She read books stolen from a gas station dumpster and whispered target ranges to herself as if anyone were listening. She had no family, no friends. Just her rifle, the cold, and instincts sharper than the mountain air. The townspeople didn't talk about her much, but they knew better than to wander near her land. A few had stories drunken tailies shared at the bar about a girl who once shot the head off a rattlesnake mid-slither. One hunter swore she downed a buck from 900 yards in high crosswind. No one believed him, but no one dared call him a liar either. One winter, when the snow hit 5 feet and the highway froze over, Ava walked into town silent, as ever loaded with venison and rabbit pelts. She didn't barter. She dropped them in front of the general store, took 2 cans of beans and a lighter, and walked away. The shopkeeper didn't stop her. He told his son, "She's something between ghost and girl. Leave her be." But someone, somewhere, didn't leave her be. In early March 2007, a blacked-out Chevy Suburban rolled up the mountain trail without chains or hesitation. It didn't skid once. Its tires were military grade, its plates government issue. 2 men stepped out. One wore a wool coat with no insignia. The other had desert-tan boots and a voice that sounded like broken glass when he spoke. "She's in there," the second man said, nodding toward the cabin hidden beneath snow-caked pine. Was the footage confirmed? The first asked. "Yes, sir. Unenhanced drone feed from Operation WIDO Fallujah. The shot matched ballistic signature. We think she copied a long-range reticle from a Russian manual and adjusted for wind manually. No spotter, none." The man in the coat stood still, watching the chimney. Smoke curled up into the sky. He didn't knock. He opened the door. Inside, Ava stood beside her small potbelly stove, rifle still warm from the hunt, finger already on the trigger before the handle turned. A man didn't flinch. He raised a single sheet of paper with a photo of a burned-out vehicle in Iraq, and one blurry reflection scope glass catching the shape of a hooded figure. Her rifle, unmistakable. "We could charge you for stolen Dodd signal packets," he said. "But we're not here for that." He turned the page. "We're here because the SEALs were supposed to die that night." Silence. Ava didn't speak. She didn't nod. She didn't blink. He reached into his coat and pulled out a black envelope sealed with wax. No stamp, no address. Only a hawk, wings spread. "Read it," he said. She didn't take it. "You passed every qualification without being trained. You don't know it yet, but you've already been recruited." She finally stepped forward, took the envelope. He said nothing else. They left her alone with the wind, the smoke, and a sealed invitation that would pull her from the woods and into history, where her name would never appear, but her aim would never be forgotten. 3 days later, Ava vanished. The cabin sat empty. Rifle gone, floorboards stripped of anything that could leave DNA. No footprints. No note. A passing hunter found the place, stove still warm. He told the sheriff. The sheriff called the state. The state called the feds. The feds said, "We have no records of a girl living there, but there are pictures." "The town," the sheriff protested. "Those pictures no longer exist," came the reply. And it was true. Old photos where Ava had once been were now missing from local frames. A school picture day where she'd stood beside 3 others now showed only 2. Someone had wiped her out with surgical precision. Even the gas station security tapes were mysteriously corrupted. Only one trace remained, in a small shooting range just outside of town. The owner, a veteran who kept his head down, found a single casing on the ground. Not unusual, but when he looked closer, he found etched into the brass 1.1 miles, 3 mph. Wind, no spotter. He pocketed it, locked the range, and never spoke of it again. Meanwhile, across the country, in a facility without windows and buried beneath a mountain, a red folder sat on a steel desk. On its cover, Kestrel activated. No. Rank, no name. No record, only results. No one welcomed her when she arrived. The facility wasn't a base. It didn't even have a name. It was hidden beneath a decommissioned communications tower in the Utah desert, off map, off books, and off limits to even most in the Pentagon. Her transport plane landed at night. No lights, no greetings. Just a man in a sand-colored uniform who handed her a bag, a set of black fatigues, and said 2 words: "Earn this." Inside the bag was a sniper rifle custom modified, with a suppressor she'd only seen once in a Russian, weapons manual, and an ID badge with no name. Just a hawk. The instructors were former SEALs, Marines, and CI, a paramilitary ghosts who hadn't worn uniforms in years. Men with tattoos that told stories even their silence couldn't. They were hardened, scarred, and merciless. But even they didn't know her real name. To them, she was just Kestrel. No one treated her gently. They didn't care that she was 17, or female, or unregistered. They only cared if she could shoot, stalk, and survive. The training began at dawn and didn't stop when night fell. Sleep was earned. Meals were caught. If you missed your rabbit, you starved. If you missed your shot, you repeated the entire day's obstacle course in full gear. Ava said nothing ever. She listened, observed, calculated, and when it came time to shoot, the instructors stopped betting against her. She could hit a moving target on a 60-foot zip line, while upside down. She could adjust her aim mid-breath to account for shifting gusts of wind at 1,200 yards. She once hit a clay disc dropped from a drone in a sandstorm twice. The instructors started recording her sessions. Then they started locking them. She wasn't just accurate. She was impossible. One day, a grizzled former Force Recon Marine, known as Brick, challenged her in a timed sniper duel. The rules were simple: 10 targets, 500 to 800 yards. Shoot from a moving vehicle. The course was laid through a winding canyon. It was meant to humble cocky new recruits. He went first. 10 hits, 57 seconds. She went second. 10 hits, 43 seconds. When the final beep sounded, she calmly disassembled the rifle, cleaned the chamber, and walked away without a word. The other recruits watched her like she was a weapon left out on the table, admired, feared, never touched. Brick, not a man known for compliments, looked over at the lead instructor and said, "That girl ain't human." But the instructors kept pushing. They ran her through torture-resistance simulations, submersion, sleep deprivation, noise warfare. She never broke. In the 4th week, they blindfolded her, drove her 40 miles out, and left her in the middle of the desert with nothing but a matchbook and an empty canteen. She was back by morning. No blisters, no limp, just sand in her boots and a hawk carved into the canteen side. By the 6th week, she was outperforming everyone. She learned languages: fast Pashto, Russian, Farsi. Not fluent, but fast enough to blend in and pass as a local. She memorized terrain by scent, identified rifles by sound alone, and could strip a sniper rifle underwater. One instructor tried to provoke her, mocking her, pushing her, grabbing her arm in the mess hall. She dropped him in 2 moves, disarmed him, and reset the safety on his own sidearm before he hit the floor. No one else touched her again. They didn't issue her a standard uniform. Her gear was custom matte black with infrared dampening fabric, designed for no reflection. Even her dog tags were blank, but her patch, the hawk, remained, sewn on with silver thread, always over her heart. The instructors began to talk among themselves. "This kid's better than some Tier 1 shooters," one said. "She's not a kid," another replied. "She's a scalpel with a heartbeat." When command visited the site, 2 men in suits and dead eyes, they watched her live drill from a blacked-out room. One said nothing. The other turned to the lead trainer. "Is she field ready?" "She's more than ready," the instructor replied. "She's beyond doctrine." The man in the suit placed a red folder on the table dotted red. "Operation Hollowstone Asset Kai. Prep her," the man said. "Deployment in 10 days." But even among ghosts, some shadows were darker than others. That night, Brick pulled Ava aside. "You know what they're turning you into?" he asked. She stared at him, silent. "They won't pin you medals. They won't fly flags at your funeral. You'll be erased before your first bullet leaves the chamber." Still, she said nothing. "Just remember who you are," he muttered. "Don't let the mission own you." But Ava already knew the truth. She had no name, no birth certificate, no records. She wasn't part of any command structure. She didn't belong to a country. She belonged to precision. She belonged to the kill. And when she closed her eyes at night, it wasn't her past she saw. It was wind vectors, elevation, and target silhouettes outlined in red. Fallujah, 2007. A furnace of broken glass, dust, and rusted steel. SEAL Team Bravo was running dark, a 6-man recon unit embedded deep behind enemy lines, gathering intel on a rumored munitions drop outside the Western District. The plan was simple: infiltrate, observe, extract. No engagement. But simplicity doesn't survive contact. 2 blocks from their target site, Bravo stepped into a trap. Machine gun fire erupted from 3 angles. RPGs tore through the street. Their exit collapsed behind them. 1 man was down immediately. Another, Corporal Ray's no relation to the commander, was bleeding from a shoulder hit, pinned beneath a shattered window frame. They scrambled to a rooftop. From there, they could return fire, but their ammo was running thin. The city was waking up, and not in their favor. Radios buzzed static. Command was unreachable. Their nearest support was 2 hours away and already engaged across the city. From the air, a reconnaissance drone caught the chaos. The feed showed infrared bodies swarming toward the building. Inside a silent control room stateside, a man leaned forward, watching the heat signatures close in. He tapped a secure keyboard and typed, "Asset K authorization granted. Immediate deployment." Ava had been waiting. She never asked for assignments. They simply arrived. At 0400, she received a hard case. Inside, a suppressed M110 semi-automatic sniper system, urban camo fatigues, 2 flashbangs, a comms headset, and a map with a single mark: SEAL Bravo. Red line circled in black ink. No plane. No team. No briefing. Just a helicopter waiting, engines cold and silent. She nodded to the pilot. He never asked her name. Fallujah's skyline was a jagged maze of minarets, broken antenna towers, and shattered satellite dishes. Ava landed on an abandoned communications platform a mile from the engagement. She dropped prone, unfolded her tripod, and peered through the scope. Distance, 1,170 meters. Wind, 4 miles per hour east to west. She dialed in corrections, closed her left eye, and watched the rooftop where SEAL Bravo clung to survival. Muzzle flashes popped from the street below. She saw them. The insurgents moving up with an RPG, 2 more flanking the rear. She exhaled, slow, steady, surgical dot crack, dot one down dot crack, dot second FLANKER dot crack. Crack. Crack got the rooftop lit up insurgents, falling before they knew they were spotted. Inside the building, the SEALs froze. Gunfire had stopped. Who's shooting? Someone yelled. No one's up here but us, came the answer. Commander Reyes was reviewing satellite feeds when he saw it. One figure barely visible on a distant rooftop, prone and motionless. Zoom. He ordered. The image flickered. The figure wore no standard uniform. Her face was obscured, hair tucked beneath a hood. But the rifle, it was the same modified M110. The name echoed in his mind. Kestrel. She's not supposed to be active, his assistant said. She is now. Reyes muttered. Ava repositioned, changing elevation. She crawled 30 feet, set up again, and waited. A truck roared down the alleyway, loaded with reinforcements. They didn't see her. One shot pierced the engine block. The vehicle bucked. Flames erupted. Chaos. In the confusion, the SEALs moved. A private carried the wounded corporal, the others laying suppressive fire. Every time someone rose against them, Ava took the shot. 12 targets. 4 minutes. 0 misses. Bravo reached the extraction zone, just as 2 Black Hawks arrived, kicking dust into the air like desert storms. One SEAL, face bloodied, breathing hard, looked up toward the distant rooftop and swore he saw movement. A figure turning. Away. No wave. No signal. Just quiet disappearance. Later, back at base, the SEALs were debriefed. Who provided sniper cover? They asked. Unknown, the officer replied. That's bull. Someone picked us off one by one, like gods. Finger pointing from a cloud. The report listed the event as external allied assist origin classified. But the men of Bravo knew better. Ava's extraction wasn't listed. She exfiltrated on foot. At dawn, she walked into a UN med tent, disguised in scavenged robes, eyes downcast. She handed a wounded child over to a nurse, who never noticed the worn American. Boots beneath her hem. She disappeared 5 minutes later. 3 days passed. Commander Reyes stared at the sniper footage again and again. Every frame showed discipline beyond doctrine. Timing that could only come from someone who didn't think, just knew. He picked up the phone. Called a secure line. I need to speak to whoever handles Kestrel. The reply came cold. There is no Kestrel, sir. I saw her. There is no such asset on file. Click. Meanwhile, in a facility beneath the Utah desert, a new entry was quietly added to a digital logbook. Asset K Mission 1. Urban Overwatch. Outcome 100% success. Visibility contained. Witnesses none confirmed. There was no medal, no press release, no handshake from a general, but in a black bag, back in her quarters, Ava unwrapped a single shell casing. Engraved across the brass were 3 numbers. 117,061 distance. Kill count. Shots fired. She tucked it into a box beneath her cot. Next to it 11 others. She wasn't counting trophies. She was keeping a record, not of lives taken, but of missions survived. The mission in Fallujah should have been buried like the rest, filed under classified and locked behind layers of code words. But something slipped. A thermal satellite image from the SEAL Bravo firefight was mistakenly routed to an open access CHANNEL, monitored by a junior intelligence analyst named Lydia Hall. Just a routine audit, part of a monthly pattern recognition sweep. What she found wasn't routine. She zoomed in on a rooftop, a mile from the action. A prone figure, no thermal signature, but a brief, telltale shimmer of reflected glass. A scope, just 1 frame before. The image wiped. She ran facial recognition. Nothing. Uniform database. Nothing. Weapons. Registry. Nothing matched the suppressor, barrel length, or sight configuration. No one in that area had authorization to fire. She sent a report to her superior. The next day, Lydia Hall was reassigned. Overseas, no warning. But before her transfer, she made one call to an old ROTC friend working under General Stanford at the Pentagon. She just said one thing. There's a shooter the government doesn't know it trained. 2 weeks later, General Stanford stood in front of a digital map in the Pentagon SIF room. A red dot pulsed over Fallujah. Around it, concentric circles showed kill radii, shot timings, and estimated trajectory paths. Each was surgical impossible, even by elite standards. SEAL Bravo says it wasn't theirs. He asked. No, sir, his aide replied. They filed a field request for asset identification. It was flagged as need to know and returned sealed. Who signed the seal? No one. Literally no digital trace. It's like the response was typed on an unplugged terminal. The general narrowed his eyes. Ghosts leave trails, he said. Even shadows cast light somewhere. Elsewhere, behind secured layers of firewalls and classified Black Ops infrastructure, Ava was briefed on her next mission. There was no folder, just a monitor with a blinking light. The voice spoke through a speaker, embedded in the wall, distorted, genderless. Target: General Fawad Nazir, Pakistani national, suspected of selling nuclear research to unauthorized foreign buyers. You will not engage unless he confirms transaction. Surveillance only. She nodded once. The voice paused. You're not to be seen. If you are seen, terminate anyone who sees you. You will not be recovered. That wasn't a threat. It was standard. Islamabad. Night. Ava entered the city dressed as a textile vendor's apprentice. Her rifle was broken into 4 pieces, hidden inside bolts of fabric and cleaning tools. She wore a shawl, a limp, her face smudged with dye. For 5 days, she lived as a ghost among the market, learned vendor names, watched General Nazir's compound, tracked every vehicle, guard rotation, and food delivery schedule. On the 6th night, she scaled the roof of a nearby building using a climbing rig sewn into her satchel strap. She positioned her rifle, waited 6 hours without movement, and recorded everything through her scope. At 2:14 a.m., a man entered the courtyard with a briefcase. Ava adjusted her parallax. The case opened. Nuclear schematics. Confirmed. She tapped. Her headset. Confirmation. Preparing for exfil. A pause. Then static. Then a single word. Execute. 6 shots in 9 seconds. Every man in the courtyard fell before their eyes could widen. She blew the transmitter on the briefcase, climbed down, and was gone into the alleys before the first body hit the marble. The next morning, the Pakistani government blamed the deaths on a rival intelligence faction. No video, no witness, no trace, except one thing: security cam footage from a traffic light 3 blocks away. A glitch, less than a second. But it captured her shadow of figure with a rifle case, walking barefoot across the street in the rain. ACIA contact intercepted the footage, but someone else got there first. General Stanford stared at the single frame. He enhanced it. He saw the hawk tattoo on the figure's shoulder. He rubbed his temples. Who the hell is she? He muttered. That night, he called Commander Reyes. Reyes, tell me the truth, he growled. Was there a woman on that rooftop in Fallujah? Silence. Reyes finally answered, voice calm. There was a sniper. Best I've ever seen. Was she one of yours? No. Then who does she belong to? Another pause. No one. Click. The next day, General Stanford convened a classified inquiry. 12 officers. One purpose. Find KESTREL. Subpoenaed mission logs, drone footage, intelligence packets, even the armory logs from the Utah training facility, only to discover that the files marked Asset K had been wiped months ago. Clean. Zero trace. It was as if someone higher than Stanford had erased her on purpose. One internal memo leaked. It was just 4 words. Terminate Ghost. Too visible. Ava didn't care. She returned to her facility. Quiet. Tired. Brick met her near the mess hall. "You were in Pakistan," he said. She didn't answer. "I heard the chatter." Langley's twitching. "Pentagon wants answers." Still, she said nothing. He looked at her rifle. "You get what you went for?" She met his eyes for the first time. They made the sale. Brick nodded. "Good girl," he muttered. "But you're burning too bright, Kestrel. Sooner or later, they're gonna come for you." She walked past him, but as she did, she whispered, "Let them try." Niger, 2008. SEAL Team Echo had been deployed under false pretenses. They thought it was a standard intercept stop, a weapons handoff, grab intel, and exfil before dawn. But the intel was wrong. Someone had leaked their route, compromised their escape plan, and wiped the drone surveillance mid-operation. 12 SEALs were dropped into the heart of an ambush. Gunfire erupted from every direction. The village was a funnel, its only exits boxed in by technicals with mounted machine guns. Clay rooftops turned into sniper nests. The SEALs returned fire, but they were outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and losing men fast. Commander Reyes, back at HQ, watched it unfold via emergency sat feed. It was chaos. Infrared blurs running for cover, 2 team members already down. He slammed his fist on the console. Why the hell didn't we see this coming? His aide turned to him, pale. "Sir." The satellite guidance was scrambled. From our side, someone jammed it internally. Reyes didn't blink. He reached for the black desk phone secure line, direct to Black Tier Command. "Sender." He said, "Are you authorizing?" I said, "Sender." Hours earlier, Ava had been in Morocco, extracting from another deep recon op. Dust still clung to her boots. Her hair was tucked beneath a linen wrap. She hadn't slept in 36 hours, but when the call came through encrypted, one-time channel, she answered before the second ping. No words were spoken. Only coordinates. She exhaled, grabbed her pack, and vanished again. She arrived in Niger on a cargo flight marked as humanitarian aid. The crate she emerged from wasn't scanned. The people who carried it didn't know what was inside. She didn't wait for a team. Didn't ask for support. She just moved. By sundown, she was on a ridge overlooking the village. Through her scope, Ava saw the full picture. 7 SEALs left, 1 unconscious, 2 badly wounded. They were running out of ammo, retreating into a mud-walled compound. Bullets rained down from all sides. But what caught her eye was the lead sniper, an insurgent crouched beneath a clay overhang, perfectly hidden, inches from a clean shot on. The wounded SEAL being carried. She dialed her scope. 1 breath. Crack. The insurgent dropped before his finger touched the trigger. Then came another shot. And another. Rapid, precise, surgical. SEALs below looked around, confused. Who the hell is shooting? Ava moved along the ridge like smoke, never staying in one spot more than 2 rounds. She had 22 targets marked. She downed 17 in under 4 minutes. Inside the compound, 1 SEAL Petty Officer Miguel Rains was blind from shrapnel and bleeding from a chest wound. He lay behind a wall of sandbags, clutching a teammate's hand. Then the gunfire. Stopped. Not faded. Stopped. For 2 whole minutes. There was only silence. From his hazy vision, Rains saw a shape blurry and backlit moving through the doorway. It wasn't one of them. No, Uniform. Slim build. A rifle slung backward. Hair tied. Tight beneath a scarf. A patch on her chest. A hawk. She didn't speak. Just reached down, tapped his shoulder, then dragged him onto her back like he weighed nothing. Moved fast, smooth, through the debris and out into the night. He blinked. Thought he imagined her. By the time reinforcements arrived, she was gone. A blood trail led to the forest. Then nothing. No footprints. No thermal. No scent. Only a carved symbol on a tree trunk, 3 slashes, beneath a hawk. Seal code for ghost friendly. Protected by shadow. At base, Rains demanded to speak. To Commander Reyes. She saved me, he insisted. She was there, pulled me out herself. You were in shock, son, the medic said. No, I saw her. She had that patch hawk diving. Same one they said didn't exist. Reyes entered the room. Sat beside him. You remember her face? Only? Her eyes. Cold, sharp, not angry. Just done with all of this. Reyes stayed quiet for a long moment. Then, I believe you. Back in D.C., Reyes submitted an after-action report. He left the shooter field blank. When asked to testify about the rescue, he refused. She's not under my command, he told the inquiry panel. I don't give orders to shadows. But the government was no longer willing to tolerate shadows, especially not ones. Their own elite teams were starting to worship. The video leaked a week later. Blurry helmet cam footage. Likely from a SEAL's GoPro. It showed her for only 2 seconds crossing the compound doorway. Rifle slung, eyes scanning. The internet exploded. Reddit threads called her the Sand Viper. Veterans on forums swapped theories. CIA asset. Rogue Marine, Israeli contractor. But one thread stood out. Just 6 words. She's the Kestrel. I saw her. Underneath it, hundreds of upvotes. And a picture, the same hawk patch. At the Pentagon, General Stanford stared at the footage, face pale. She's not just a rumor anymore, he said. She's a movement. She's an embarrassment, another general snapped. This is the United States military. We don't allow unsanctioned freelancers. Reese entered the room without knocking. Then sanction her, he said. They turned. She's already got the loyalty of more SEALs than half the commanders in this building. And what do you suggest? Stanford asked. Reyes dropped a folder on the table. It was empty. No pages. No name. Just a hawk etched into the cover. She doesn't need a rank, he said. She needs respect. The warehouse was supposed to be a dead drop. 3 federal agents had been watching it for weeks, tracking stolen biowarfare materials traded on the black market. What they didn't expect was an armed militia ambushing them inside U.S. borders Arkansas. Of all places, they barely made it out alive. One agent was shot. Another dragged the wounded through a broken window. The third? Missing. The government needed it cleaned up quietly. Public exposure would spark panic. But the group behind it? Too dangerous to ignore. They were ex-military, radicalized, and trained. Regular law enforcement wouldn't stand a chance. So Commander Reyes made the call again. Only this time, he didn't use a burner. He used a secure military uplink from inside the Pentagon itself. 3 days later, she was there. No orders. No official briefing. Just a surveillance folder placed on a rooftop in Memphis. A day later, it vanished. The following evening, the warehouse was surrounded. No one noticed her slip in, except one drone. An experimental prototype, running real-time infrared on a private test flight. It caught everything. The footage wasn't meant for public release, but techs on contract with the defense contractor leaked it, probably thinking they'd caught something like a raid. Instead, they captured something no one was supposed to see. A lone female figure, face uncovered, eyes cold and focused, navigating the shadows of the warehouse like she had been. Born there. She moved without sound, neutralized 5 targets. Saved? The third agent from execution. And when the last man, a 6'4" militia leader with 3 confirmed kills, rushed her with a steel pipe, she didn't even flinch. She stepped forward, grabbed his wrist, disarmed him, and slammed him to the ground with surgical precision. It was over in 12 seconds. The video went viral. At first, they called her Ghost Valkyrie. Then someone compared the face to a classified photo from an old drone op in Syria. Same eyes, same jawline, different gear, but unmistakable. People started calling her Kestrel. The military didn't confirm or deny, but the silence said enough. She was no longer a myth. No longer just a whisper, traded in war zones. Now, America had seen her, and they couldn't stop watching. On news networks, analysts debated whether she was rogue CIA or Black Ops. She's clearly trained, said one anchor. But who's giving her permission? She operates above permission, another replied. That's why people are terrified and fascinated. Online, forums erupted with fan theories and sightings. She saved my brother in Kandahar. One user wrote, "She was the only one who pulled us out in Colombia," said another. "She's been everywhere, but never leaves a name." Commander Reyes was summoned to a classified hearing. They wanted answers. "She exposed our national operations," barked Senator Wilkins. "No," Reyes said calmly. "You did by letting that drone fly without security protocols. You're telling us this woman is single-handedly running military ops?" Another senator asked. "No team? No authorization?" "She doesn't need authorization," Reyes said. "She gets results." A pause. Then one voice from the dark corner of the room. "She's a threat, and threats must be eliminated." Reyes stared at him. "She's not the threat," he said. "She's the one cleaning up your messes." Across the country, something started to shift. Women in the military, especially snipers, rangers, and special operators, began requesting hawk patches for their gear. Not official insignias, but small embroidered symbols. Left shoulders only. Some commanders banned them. Others didn't dare. The Kestrel had become something new. Not a soldier. Not even a legend. A standard. But not everyone loved her. A growing number of high-ranking officials viewed her as a destabilizing force. If soldiers started thinking they didn't need rank or name to matter, if respect became the new chain of command, how long before the structure broke? They assigned a team to track her. Kill team, some said. Shadow Team 9, black budget financed. Their job? Find her. Extract her if possible. Eliminate if necessary. Ava knew. She always knew. First attempt came in Dallas, a decoy target, planted by Shadow Team 9. She played along. Let them see her. Let them move in. They didn't make it out. She left one of their patches pinned to a wall with a knife. A warning. Still, something had shifted in her. For the first time, she wasn't invisible. Every gas station stop, every border crossing, she felt it. The staring, the whispers. The girl at the diner who slipped a hawk-shaped cookie into her bag without saying a word. The old Marine who nodded once and walked away. She wasn't just a ghost anymore. She was an idea. And ideas are hard to kill. At Langley, a report landed. On the director's desk. Subject. Asset 2337 Alpha. Kestrel. Status. Active. Uncontrolled. Symbolic. One line circled in red. She cannot be buried. Not now. Not without backlash. Meanwhile, a small private memorial appeared outside Fort Bragg. No plaque. No statue. Just a stone slab with a hawk carved into it. Seals left challenge coins beneath it. Snipers left spent casings. Rangers left. Black bands. No one spoke about it. No one had to. And somewhere in Arizona, Ava lay prone on a canyon ridge, sighting a cartel meeting far below. She didn't flinch as a drone buzzed overhead, didn't react when her face showed up on another intel. Bored, didn't care that the world knew now. She had work to do. The plan was clinical. Bait the Kestrel with a false op in a legal weapons convoy moving through Nevada under cartel flags, with confirmed civilian hostages. Shadow Team 9 would monitor. Drones in the sky, jammers in the hills, and the trap sprung in a closed canyon. To everyone in the Pentagon. It was brilliant. To Commander Reyes. It was treason. He wasn't told until it was already in motion. The convoy rolled through Dead Coyote Pass at 300.12 vehicles. Armed guards. Staged just convincingly enough. Ava arrived at 0312. No recon drone. No Overwatch. Just instinct. A single woman stepping from the shadows, rifle slung, sidearm holstered, eyes scanning the RIDG. She was suspicious. She always was. But they'd studied her for years. They knew her tells. Knew that if even one civilian was at risk, she would. Engage. So when she spotted the hostages' actors, tied and trembling in the third vehicle, she acted. Clean, quick. 2 guards down before they hit the dirt. Smoke cover in less than 6 seconds. That's when the net closed. First came the drones. 6 of them, armed with low-impact tranquilizer rounds. Her gear was jammed. No comms, no tracker. She ducked into the convoy, dragging one actor with her. Then came the Boots 20 men from Shadow Team 9, dropping in from the canyon edge. Each one former Tier 1 operators, armed to incapacitate. They expected resistance. They didn't expect the fire. No one knows who opened live rounds. It wasn't Ava. It wasn't the actors. But someone pulled the trigger, and a bullet clipped her shoulder. She spun, returned fire, and disappeared in the smoke. Chaos erupted. Men shouted conflicting orders. Drones collided mid-air. Flashbangs detonated too close to FRIENDLIEs. Then came the scream. Not from Ava, from one of the actors. An actual civilian journalist inserted last minute to document the operation. She'd been shot. For real. The aftermath was ugly. 1 dead soldier, 2 wounded. A civilian in critical condition. And Ava? Gone. She'd vanished before the sun came up. Shadow Team 9 was disbanded within the week, but the footage, blurry and incomplete, had leaked again. And this time, the world watched something very different. The United States had tried to kill its own ghost, and failed. Protests erupted, not because people wanted more vigilantes, but because they trusted her. She'd protected soldiers, civilians, agents. And now they knew. Washington had tried to erase her. Veterans burned their commendation, ribbons online. TikTokers stitched her canyon escape with phrases like, "She served, they betrayed." Even active duty special forces posted veiled messages. You don't salute the flag, you salute the sacrifice behind it. Inside the Pentagon, lines were being redrawn. Some wanted to double down. Track her. Eliminate her before she could retaliate. Others, quietly, said nothing. They'd seen the footage. They saw the look on her face after the bullet hit her shoulder. She wasn't angry. She looked disappointed. Meanwhile, Ava bled alone in the Utah desert. She hadn't stitched a wound in years. She thought of Reyes, how he'd once told her, "You're not built to survive. You're built to endure." So she endured. She stitched the wound, burned the infection, waited 2 days, then walked 70 miles with a limp to an old safe house that hadn't been touched since 2015. Inside, food, ammo, maps, and a note taped to the wall. If this is you, don't come back. They've changed. She didn't plan revenge. Ava didn't need revenge. She needed truth. So she found the journalist who'd been shot, Eva Lambert. Still recovering. Still scared. Ava showed up in her hospital room at 217 No weapons. Just a question. Did you know it was a setup? Ava looked her in the eye. No, she whispered. I thought it was real. They didn't tell me anything. Ava nodded once, then handed her a flash drive. The next morning, the footage aired. Live. Not just of the trap. Of everything. Colombia, Afghanistan, Somalia, the warehouse raid in Arkansas. All of it. Time stamped. Verified. It proved she'd saved lives. Neutralized terror cells. Rescued hostages. Prevented civilian casualties again and again, all without orders. She wasn't a rogue assassin. She was a silent guardian. The fallout was seismic. The Secretary of Defense resigned. 2 generals were demoted. Commander Reyes testified before Congress, but not to apologize. To explain. This country made her invisible, he said. Not because she was dangerous, but because she embarrassed them. She did. More with no name, no rank, and no budget than most of us with everything. And still, Ava didn't come forward. She vanished again. Only this time, she left behind one thing. A photograph of herself, unmasked in desert camo. One sentence on the back. Not for medals. Not for rank. For them. The photo was passed around bases like a relic. No one framed it. They carried it in pockets. Patches appeared again, more hawks, but now with a red thread stitched through one eye. The eye that bled in Dead Coyote Pass. They tried to rewrite her out of history. Instead, they carved her deeper into it. 2 years had passed. The world moved on. The news cycle churned fresh scandals, but the legend of Kestrel, no rank, no name, was etched into the hearts of those who fought in shadows. Ava had stayed silent, invisible. Until one final mission. A meeting in the White House. Secret Council assembled to discuss the fate of America's unofficial soldiers, the ghosts who operated beyond chains of command. Among them sat General Stanford, older, wearier. They want her dead, he said, or worse publicly. Disavowed. A president leaned forward, or she could be our new face, the symbol of change. The room fell silent. Meanwhile, Ava was in Kabul. Her target. A warlord known only as Malik, a man who brokered peace treaties by day and orchestrated bombings by night. No official authorization. No back-channel agreement. Just a directive whispered in her ear. Neutralize the threat. Prevent the next massacre. She accepted. The compound was heavily guarded. Armed men on every roof, perimeter sensors, tripwires. But Ava wasn't just a sniper. She was a ghost. She slipped through the defenses like wind. 3 miles out, she set up her perch. Her rifle was familiar, a custom M110. But this time, it carried something new, a message. Engraved on the suppressor were the words, "For those unseen, for those unsung." She sighted Malik's window, checked wind speed, heart steady. The shot rang out at midnight. 1 bullet, 1 life changed. Malik fell silent. His reign of terror ended before dawn. But Ava didn't stay to watch the fallout. She disappeared into the mountains, leaving behind a single letter, addressed to the Secretary of Defense. I was never your soldier. I have no rank, no name, no medals, but I have a duty to protect those who cannot protect themselves. If you want a symbol, don't build it on bones. Build it on honor, respect, and truth. I am not the ghost you fear. I am the shadow you forgot to respect. The letter went viral within hours. Military bases across the country held Unsanctioned ceremonies. Women and men pinned hawk patches on uniforms. Letters poured in from soldiers, veterans, families. One line repeated in every message: "Thank you for being the unseen light." Back in Washington, the government couldn't bury her anymore. They didn't try. Instead, they invited Ava to speak at the Pentagon under a pseudonym. She declined. Her message was clear: legends don't need names. Heroes don't ask for medals. They live in the choices no one sees. Years later, a small plaque appeared at the National Infantry Museum. No name, no rank, just a hawk in flight. And beneath it, "For those who serve without spotlight or salute, you have ours forever." Ava's story became more than a legend. It became a testament. That valor isn't in the stars, on a uniform, it's in the courage to act when no one's watching. And somewhere far from cameras, headlines, or parades, Ava watched over the world. Her rifle silent, her eyes sharp. Waiting. For the next shadow to protect. The end.